Okay, so everybody's eyes up here. If you cannot not touch your computer, turn the monitor off. So just turn that little button, press it, if you're going to touch your computer while I'm talking. Because we're going to talk about charts now, and these are new to you, and so I want you paying attention. Write down notes if you need to. If you don't need to, that's great, but don't tell me you don't understand if you're not taking some responsibility for your own learning. Okay? So, charts. Two main kinds of charts we're going to use are a pie chart or a bar or column chart. The first thing we have to do a chart is we have to highlight the information that we want to graph or chart. Okay? So, we highlight. So in this case, I highlighted the name, percent of market share, and then I highlighted the name of the search engines and what percent of the market share that they have. Then you go to the Insert tab. A good rule of thumb is you're going to use a pie chart if you're comparing parts of whole. So if we're comparing different parts of a whole, like different colors of M&Ms in an M&M bag, that's parts of a whole, right? Because the whole is the bag and then the different colors inside. We'd use a pie. The pie charts are for parts of a whole. If I'm comparing each one of your individual test grades, that is not parts of a whole. So I would use a bar or a column chart for that. Okay? So this is parts of a whole because if we had all these percentages up, hopefully they'd equal close to 100, right? Or 100. So we're going to use a pie chart. And there's 3D, there's 2D, whatever your little heart desires. And then a chart is going to pull up. To move the chart, you can click and drag it. If you wanted to change the location of the chart to a separate tab, you can right-click and go to Location. Okay? So those are your two options there. For our purposes, we're just going to leave it here on this page today. If we scroll on down here, when we have selected the chart, 3 tabs come up. Design, Layout, and Format under the Chart Tools. So if this is not something that's in your notes, it needs to be either starred in your notes or you need to write it down in your notes because this will be information that you are responsible for on your test. So what tabs come up when you select a chart? Design, Layout, and Format under the Chart Tools. Okay? Then, let's say I don't want this legend here. I can click on it and hit delete. It's one way I can do it. I can go to Layout and say Legend, None. Or I can go to Design and select a different chart layout. For this chart layout, I want you to have the data label and the percent. That's a good way to look at the pie chart, and I like the data labels to be attached to the pie chart because it's easier to read, especially for us who prints in black and white. So we are going to choose this one that's the first one up here with the title at the top and then the data label and percent on it. Everybody see which one I've selected? So then it's going to change it. If you do this and then you want the data labels displayed someplace else, we can do that.
What happened to the legend?
The legend we got rid of when we selected a different design layout. Okay. If I want to change the title, percent of market share for what? You can say for search engines, of search engines. Okay. If we want to change the size, we can change the font size. Something like that. If you want to change the size of the actual data labels, we can do that here as well. Once again, if you want to move them, you can. I prefer to have them outside of the pie. Then we print in black and white, so that makes it a little bit more difficult to see the different shades, because it's just going to be different shades of gray, right? So we're going to put some patterns inside of these pieces of the pie. So if I click once, it selects all the pieces of the pie. If I select twice, it selects just this piece of the pie. If I go to Format, I'm going to give you two different options to do this. So I'll show you both, and then you can write down whichever one you prefer. There's the Shape Fill, where you can change to different textures. Okay, things like that. Or you can right-click, which is the way I prefer. I like to right-click, go to Format Data Point, and go to Fill. And then, like, let's say we want a pattern fill. So you can choose your pattern. So we're going to do bricks in this one. Then I'm going to right-click, Format Data Point. I'm going to change the fill here. Change the color to red. Maybe I'll do polka dots. Now I go to the next one. Right click. You can do either way you prefer. Format Data Point. Fill. I'm just doing multiple times so you can have time to write down. Change the color. Either way you can do it though, whatever makes you happy. You want to go up here and do the fill shape up here. We can do that. Okay. So this is Excel Activity 10. Excel Activity 11, we're going to go in and we're going to open up ringtones. These are all the different top 20 ringtones in December 2010. Now what it wants you to graph is the ringtone name and the weeks it spent in top 20. But when I try to highlight, Miss Loren, I can't get it. Why can't I get this? It wants to keep including cost. I don't want cost included. I just want ringtone. Does anybody know what we have to do? Yes? Do one at a time, but I did one at a time and it didn't work. What did you say? Good. Control. So you highlight one, then you hit Control and highlight the other. So here I have B4 to B24 and D4 to D24. So Control is how you select two columns that don't touch. Yes?
Do you press them or do you hold it while you're highlighting?
You hold it while you're highlighting it. Good question. Then I'm going to go to Insert. These aren't parts of a whole, are they? No. So I'm going to go to Bar and choose 3D. Why? Because I want to. Okay, so here we have our chart. We can move it. We can make it larger. Whatever makes you happy. What do you see right here, though? Do you see a problem here?
It's upside down.
It's not upside down. Yes? It doesn't list all of them there, does it? So if I click on just this axis and right-click, I can format the axis to maybe be smaller. And I can also resize the chart area to be bigger. Now is it showing all of them? Yes, now it is. Now it is. So if I want to maybe just turn these a little bit, I can go to right-click on this axis and go to Format Axis. And under Alignment, so what I did, this is to change the alignment of the text in your axes. This is something that's going to ask you to do in Excel Activity 11. Okay? So what I did is I right-clicked just on the axes, not the plot area. Format Axis. Then you go to Alignment, and it wanted the custom angle of -7 for this assignment. So does everybody see how it turns it just a little bit? If I put a +7, it moves them up. If I put a -7, it moves it down. And once you hit Close, it automatically does that for you. Once again, if it You have to pay attention to make sure that it's showing all of them, though. Okay? So if it's not showing all of them, you have to either format the axes or come here and change the font size. Yes? Yes. You can also go to Home, and you should be able to do it here in Home. So like if I wanted it as 6, it can do it. We're going to change the location of this chart as well. So you can either do that by right-clicking and say Move Chart to New Sheet and say OK. And so now it's moved to a new sheet. Okay, so see how I have sheet 1 down here, and then I have sheet and chart 1. So this is all this information. If you want to click and drag it so chart comes up behind it, you can. Okay. It's also going to ask you to change the backgrounds. So if you right-click, you can format the walls with a fill. Do a solid fill and do a real light color. Okay. You can also choose the fill of the whole chart, format chart area, solid fill, and maybe choose orange. Okay, so those were just right clicks. Remember, you also have your design, layout, and format tools that are available up here to you as well. I find that right-clicking a lot of times is the easier way to do it. But if you prefer to use these tools up here, you know, to fill the individual bar. So if you want to fill an individual bar, you can come up here and fill the shape, each shape differently. Okay. So Excel activity 10 and 11 have to do with charts. They're pretty simple once you get the hang of them. Just do not forget to highlight your information before you start to graph. Okay? All right, go to it, guys.